Hey guys, it's Cameron Haynes here. I'm here with my Endure book. Just came out yesterday. You can order right now. And if you order on this link on the screen that you see, premiercollectibles.com/endure, I am going to sign your copy. So it'll be similar to this on the signature page, and it'll be a key. It'll just be my name. On this one, I'm going to write Keep Hammering. But on the ones you order, it's going to be my signature. And so it'll be on this page like that. I wish I could do keep hammering on all of them, but it'll just be my signature, but it'll still be, everybody likes a signed book. I know I do. So use this link here, premiercollectibles.com/endure, and get a signed book. The premise behind Endure, I didn't really have a goal that I wanted to set out and write this book that was going to do anything. That wasn't my goal. I'd done a couple hunting books, and Esther called me one day and said that she believed I had a good story to tell and maybe a story that could help others. And so with the help of her and her team, and then St. Martin's is a potion company, we've put out this book here. And for me, I've done a lot in my life, mostly centered around growing up from a small town as finding bow hunting after high school, and needed something to direct my energy and passion to, and bow hunting was that. So a lot of it is kind of journey or lessons I've learned along the journey of life and how anybody could apply them. Because when I was a young man, I felt like I wasn't really on a trajectory for success. I was just kind of getting through each day, and didn't have any big goals. Nobody had any big goals for me, so it wasn't like I was letting anybody down. Just trying to, maybe try to get a good job local in the community there, which I did, and I still have that same job right now. I started off being a part-time warehouse worker, but eventually, through the course of my life, got a job at the water and power company in the town that I live, and now I'm superintendent there. So I've been there for a long time, but it's just been a long journey. And the only reason I've had success, and the only reason I have a story to tell, is because I just have endured. I just haven't given up. And because I stayed true to my passion, which was bow hunting and just trying to get better every single day, I've met amazing athletes, some of the most amazing people in the world, all through my passion. So if you would have looked back on my life when I was a teenager and kind of an aimless young 20-year-old, you wouldn't think that what I was doing then was going to have any positive effects later down the road. But instead, the lessons I've learned through my passion, and so that's the point to it, is whatever your passion is, even if it is something as arbitrary as bow hunting, you stick with it, you keep working hard. Who knows where it's going to take you? Because nobody would ever say, hey, you could be this bow hunter that everybody knows. You could write a book that could help people in all facets of life. If you'd have told me that when I was 20, I would have thought you were crazy. But that's just how unpredictable life can be by staying true, working hard, doing the best you can every day without fail, and who knows what'll happen. So I wrote this book for people like I was, for maybe young adults who are aimless, maybe to give them a little hope. And I had a hard time finding things to be hopeful towards when I was young, and I think a book like this might have helped me, because I could have realized that, you know what, maybe how I feel isn't that rare. Maybe a lot of people feel like this. And so I don't know. That's the point to the book. It's not really about bow hunting. It's not really about ultra marathoning. It's about navigating life and finding success. And it might be an unpredictable route, but it can take you to incredible places. And I'm proof of that, because I feel blessed to be here. I feel blessed people are reading my words, and the feedback that's been coming in has been amazing. And just to have everybody wants to make an influence, a positive impact in this world. And I feel lucky to be able to do that. And that's because of people like you guys tuning in and buying the book. Again, if you like a signed copy of Endure, it's at that link right there, premiercollectibles.com/endure. And we'll get it out to you if you order, I think, within the next 24 hours. Let's see. I'm enjoying my coffee here. It's been a little bit of a grind. We're on a podcast whirlwind tour talking about Endure and just talking to some amazing people. So far, the podcasts I've done talking about this, and anybody who knows me knows that I hate podcasts. I love listening to podcasts. I love listening to interesting people. But when I'm supposed to be the interesting person, get a little tentative there. So I don't know if I can carry that weight, but regardless, I've been able to get in and talk to some amazing hosts. So I did Jack Carr, his Danger Close podcast. I did Mind Pump. I did Jay Cutler's podcast Uncut. I did Joe Rogan. I did Jocko's podcast. I did Drinking Bros podcast. That's a Black Rifle offshoot. And then I did the Black Rifle Coffee podcast today. So it's been crazy, been fun, been a little taxing, but I can endure. So we're all right. I think I'll check out some of these questions here. I believe that's the plan, right?
You want me to read them to you?
I can read them.
Okay.
So Sean from Iowa, what inspired you to write this book now? As I said, Esther reached out to me, and this is what she does. And so she knows a compelling story. She thought mine was. I wasn't sold on it, but she was very excited. And so I was convinced. And so here we are. And it's been a lot of fun. Austin and Idaho, what's the biggest takeaway you want your readers to gain from this book? It's just confidence to know that, you don't have to see your whole life. It doesn't have to be this big master plan. You don't have to have everything figured out. You just have to have the next day figured out. And then on that day, you give the best you can. You try to win the day, and then you worry about the next day. As people get looking so far down the road, and they ask themselves, am I going to find a girl or a guy? Am I going to be married? Am I going to, have enough money to ever buy a house? And life seems so overwhelming. And I just don't think you need to be overwhelmed by life. So hopefully, my story will help ease some of those fears, because I've been that person and I know what it feels like. And I know how it feels like the weight of the world can be on your shoulders when it shouldn't feel like that when you're young. So hopefully that can be a takeaway people have from this book. Anthony in North Dakota, when did the Keep Hammering motto begin? Well, so I think Bobby Fromm, who owns Performance Archery in San Diego, he was always somebody who I looked up to. And he started calling me Cam the Hammer probably 20 years ago. And then this gym back home, Forever Strong, they made a T-shirt, and it had F and an S for Forever Strong, and it said "Keep Hammering" on it. So that seemed pretty cool. So then I started making hats like this with my signature, and so that's been my thing. And it's been around probably 20 years. Probably, I think, from Bobby Fromm with Cam the Hammer. So thank you, Bobby. If you're in San Diego, go into Performance Archery, tell them hi. So for someone with little to no discipline, where do I begin? Well, I know how hard that can be. So there's days where you're not 100%. I mean, I would always say if I only worked out on days when I was 100%, I'd probably never work out, because I'm old, I'm banged up. I feel, there's some nicks and scrapes every day, it seems like. But the key is just get outside. So no matter where you're starting, I think the important thing is to get outside, get out that door, have your front door of your house or wherever closed behind you. Get out there, get some fresh air, get in the sun. Beautiful Texas sun right here. It's warm, but it feels so good. If it's raining, that feels good too in its own way. But just get outside, get some fresh air in your lungs. Maybe first walk around the block. And even if the second day you don't do anything but walk around that same block, you did it. You don't have to be killing the world to start off. You don't have to go and be running a marathon in a week. This all is a part of the journey. But to start on that journey, whether it's a big step or a little step, a baby step, whatever, just get out there and start. Once you start, then you can build some momentum day after day after day. That builds momentum. And then all of a sudden it's a habit. And as a habit, you don't feel right unless you get in your walk or your run. And so once you make that a habit, and then it's your exercise or getting that discipline that you've been lacking, then that's the second nature is, putting on one shoe at a time and going to get breakfast or putting on your favorite hoodie. It's like, well, this is what I do. I put on my hoodie, then I go outside and do my walk. So it just starts with a consistent effort, and don't make excuses. There's always a reason why you could skip a workout or skip, like I said, even if it's starting with a walk, there's always a reason to skip it, but there's no valid reason really, because you can always make time. So that'd be the key, regardless of how big or hard or long the run or the walk or the exercise is, just get out there and do it. You'll feel a lot better. Zach in Illinois, or Illinois, that reminds me of people who always say Oregon. So it's Oregon. Anyway, Zach in Illinois. How old were you when you first started hunting? I was 15. So I had been living with my dad, and he didn't hunt. And I was living in a big city for Oregon. I was living in Portland. And I didn't like it. I missed I talk about this in the book, but I missed my younger brother who we used to hang out, our whole lives together. We were 2 years apart. And I moved away because I didn't get along with my stepdad. And, uh, and so I came back home after living with my dad, where I didn't like the big city. And then my stepdad, Greg, which I got to give him a lot of credit for, he took me and my younger brother out hunting. That was when I was 15 years old. So I think it was kind of a way, maybe we hadn't really got along mostly because he wasn't my dad. I had, a lot of loyalty to my dad. And so as a stepdad, that's a tough road to hoe there. It's really a no-win situation. But anyway, he said, well, or I think he thought that, maybe I can take these boys out hunting, and, maybe there'd be something we could build on, a relationship builder. So anyway, that happened when I was 15, and the rest is history. I rifle hunted for, I think, 4 years, and then I've bow hunted every year since, 34 years since that time, bow only now. Sarah, North Carolina, craziest hunting experience you have had. I said, I was thinking about one today. I don't know. I mean, had a lot of great experiences. I don't know if they're crazy, but they're memorable. Me and Roy, blood trail and bear on Prince of Wales Island. We thought a bear was attacking us. We thought a wounded bear was going to attack us, but the bear we had got an arrow into was dead. Another bear had come across a blood trail and was coming at the trail towards us, and Roy was behind me, and we were kind of frantically scrambling away, and it got pretty crazy. And I thought he had pushed me towards the bear. He said no, he didn't push me towards the bear, but I had the bow, so I needed to be first. Anyway, it's just kind of fun stuff like that. Roy and I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for my best friend Roy Roth, who got me started bow hunting. Like I said, back in I think it was 88. I started hunting in 89, but I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for him. And he, as people who know my story know, he fell while sheep hunting in 2015 and died. And, but he, this is he and I on our last hunt right here. We had a great moose hunt. That's Roy. And, every day I try to honor his memory every day, and just, you know, have experiences that me and him could talk about. But Blood Trail and Bear was one that he and we had made many memories in the Bear Woods. Um, let's see. Scott in Texas, how did you start and grow your company? Um, Man, it's kind of a work in progress, but it's just this hat started with this hat right here, or I didn't really start with, there was no plan to grow a business actually. It was just kind of, this is what I do. This is what I'm passionate about. If you want to represent something that celebrates this passion, here's a Keep Hammering hat, or here's a Keep Hammering shirt, or here's this, a book. I wrote 2 books, and maybe you can be part of this community, Keep Hammering community, by buying this. But it was never a business plan. I never sat down and wrote a business model or had a return on investment plan or anything like that. And you would know that if you looked at how much my first book cost me and how much money I had. My first book, I went full color, hardback like this, but every page was glossy full color, which is not the way to print a book and be cost effective. So that book cost me like $10 a piece. I did 5,000 of them. So I needed $50,000 and I had about $200. So I had to borrow a bunch of money from my grandma, my mom and stepdad, my in-laws, and I ended up paying them all back, but it definitely wasn't a good business plan. So that's just an indication of how I've handled business. It hasn't really worked that well. Hopefully this book turns that around. Um, no, my second book, Backcountry Bow Hunting, it was very popular also, but not like Endure is. But it worked a little better on that ROI. So yeah, point is, have a passion, and where your passion leads you is how you can grow a company. I didn't have a plan to grow a company. Let's see. Beth in Colorado, favorite spot to go hunt, camp, fish, etc. Well, I don't fish much anymore. I'm always either hunting or training. I don't camp much anymore unless I'm just out looking for deer or elk. But hunting, you're in Colorado. That's a great state to bow hunt. I love going to Colorado. Last year I hunted bear, deer, elk, and bighorn sheep, and I got one of each species. And my freezer's full of that meat right now. So that's why I hunt. I hunt to provide for my family and the community, and the kills I make. I take care of the meat. I get it home, and then I love, as hunters, we are providers for the community. I feel like that's our responsibility, and so I love giving some of the meat from my kills away to people who either haven't tasted wild game meat or don't have meat. During the pandemic, there was times where meat was hard to come by. The grocery stores didn't have much meat, so I felt I felt an obligation to provide when I could, and I'd go, and there's a big cooler at the lunchroom at my work, and I'd fill it up with meat, and people could take it, and so that's what I love to do. But Colorado is a great state for hunting, and it's one of my favorite states to go to. And remember, premiercollectibles.com/endure is how you get this signed copy of a book. You order it the next 24 hours. Man, I want to drink this coffee, but it's hard to drink the coffee and talk. It's pretty good. Um, what's training look like for you on a daily basis? Well, my goal on a daily basis right now, I don't have a big race in mind. If I had a big race in mind where I needed to really push my limits mentally and physically, I want to try over the course. I run when I'm trying to get a bunch of miles in. I run before work, at lunch, and after work. And when I'm really gearing up for a big race, I want those miles to add up to about 26 miles a day. So that's my goal when I'm preparing for, say, a 200-mile ultra. It's 26 miles a day broken up into those 3 runs. But right now I don't have a race, so I'll just try to get in 13 miles a day if I can. It feels pretty comfortable. I've been running for a long time, so my body's pretty accustomed to it, that high mileage. And 13 miles a day is a little bit under 100 miles a week. To get 100-mile a week, which is another goal that I have often, that's about 14 miles a day. And that's what I do. That gives me time to not only exercise, of course, but also kind of clear my head and think, and just get in the right frame of mind. I always feel better once I get the miles in. And then I'll throw around a little weights, and then I'll shoot my bow every day. And that's my routine. That's the lift, run, shoot routine. Got to run, got to push weights, and You got to shoot your bow. So I've been doing that for many years. That's it. Let's see here. Where were you in your journey when UA approached you to become one of their athletes? Um, well, I'm no longer with Under Armour anymore, but I was for 17 years, and it was great, good relationship. When I first started, I was at the SHOT Show, which is a trade show, and it's for shooting, hunting, and outdoor something. So that's what the acronym SHOT stands for, and that's SHOT Show. Well, I was there. Oh, tactical shooting, hunting, outdoor, tactical. So I was there and I was walking around up and down the aisles like you always do at those shows. And I saw Under Armour was there. This was about 2004. And they had a big picture of, actually, this might ring home for Texas here, is Randy White. He played for the Cowboys. And so there's a big picture of Randy White up, and he was a beast. He looked like a beast in this picture. He had Under Armour, like a super tight Under Armour shirt on, and he was holding a bow, and he had a Super Bowl ring on, which was a little weird, hunting with the big ring on. But what I've seen people hunt with nice watches like this too, so maybe it's not that weird. But anyway, um, I went in there and I said, hey, I thought Under Armour was just for athletics, it's like football. They said, yeah, we're getting in the hunting space now, so we're here at SHOT Show. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. So that started the discussion in 2004, which led to me being a sponsored athlete. I started off like everybody starts off. You buy their stuff and you take pictures and you are living the lifestyle, and they can see their logo, and so you're kind of just a representative for the company. And then if you're valuable enough and you're putting out good work and a good effort and you're representing the company well, then they might sign you to a sponsorship deal. And generally that'll start off with like maybe just a allotment amount every year for clothing or product. And then if that goes well and you're still producing, then you could get a cash deal out of it. So you might get 20,000 a year cash, 10,000 a year product, or 5,000 a year product is probably what it'd be. And so then you just keep producing, keep doing things the right way, keep working hard, and who knows, then you can have a long-term career with a apparel brand. And that's what I've done with most of my sponsors. It's just, I just do what I do, and do it how I think is the right way, and represent hunting or athletics the right way, and good things can happen. But nothing happens overnight, and that one didn't either. That was a grind, but it was a long one, 17 years, and thankful for that opportunity. So, Callie in Minnesota, congratulations on the new book. When did you start running marathons? How did you get to running ultra marathons? Well, I started like anybody. I started with a 5K, a 10K. Then I did I think it was God, I don't know what it was, 7.3 mile race in Salem, Oregon. It's kind of hilly on streets. Then I did the Coburg Half Marathon, which is back home. That was all flat. I thought that was pretty good. Then in 2002, I think I entered the Gorge Marathon, and it was from the Dalles. So the Columbia River Gorge separates Oregon and Washington. And so I went from the Dalles to Hood River, and that was 26 miles. Super windy. The gorge is very windy, which is what it's known for. It's a big windsurfing place. Anyway, I was running into the wind the whole time, my first marathon, and I was trying to keep this pace. I ended up doing pretty well for my first one. I got 3 hours even, and I think 59 seconds. That's what it was. 3 hours, 0 minutes, 59 seconds. So anybody who's run marathons know breaking 3 hours is a good marathon. I didn't break it, but I did get that marathon done, and I got third place overall. So that was my first marathon. So from there, I went, and in 2005, I ran my first ultra marathon. And that started off, I thought this is just the next step, logical step to challenging myself. So I was up in Corvallis, Oregon, and ran the McDonald Forest in 2005. And it was hard. It was 31 miles on muddy trail. It seemed like the hardest thing in the world could do. I felt like I was, like a beast, because I'm out here running 31 miles. Well, Coming to the end of that race, my first ultra, there's these other guys running the other way up the trail. And I could have sworn I'd seen them before, and they're going back the other way as I just finished. So I got to the finish and I was exhausted and, kind of celebrating myself and my accomplishment, you know, was pretty proud, thought I was kind of a big deal in my own head. And once I came to and got some food in me, I asked a race organizer or another racer there, I can't remember now, but I said, I saw these four guys running back up the trail. What were they doing? And they said, oh, they're running it in reverse too. They ran it, and they're going to run it in reverse too to prepare for the Western States 100. And I was like, what do you mean? You mean like 31 miles again today? They said, yeah, they're going to get in 62 today because they're getting ready for the Western States, which is 100 miles. And I was like, what? I didn't even know there was 100-mile races. I thought there's no way people can run 100 miles in a day. So then at that time, I learned about the Western States 100. And so that was my goal. Someday I'd run 100 miles. So fast forward to 2009, I ran my first 100 as a Bighorn 100, and I did terrible. It was miserable. I was, I don't know, I hurt worse than I ever had, I think, in my whole life. And it took me 29 hours and 20 minutes to finish. Awful. Then the next year, I ended up getting in the Western States 100, the first 100 I ever heard about. And I finished that race in 22 hours and 41 minutes. So I got my silver buckle at Western, which is if you finish the Western States 100 in under 24 hours, so you cover 100 miles distance in under 24 hours, they give you a buckle with a cougar on it, silver buckle with a gold mountain lion, and it says 100 miles one day. And that might as well be an Olympic gold medal. It's hard to get. It was very hard for me to get because it's just a huge challenge. And then from there, I started ramping it up, and now I've done a couple 200s. And so the goal is always, what's the next challenge? How can we keep pushing ourselves? How can we find out what our limit is? And that's what I've been searching for. Is I want to find what my limit is. And I don't know how much time we have left, but I just want to do one more quick update right here. If you order this book off of premiercollectibles.com/endure, it'll come signed. Oh yeah, I see the time there. I think we've got about 10 minutes. So I got a couple of questions here. Do you have rules for your kids around discipline, being active, etc.? Well, my kids don't really have to listen to me anymore because they're grown. So my oldest one is 29 or 28. He's in the Army. He definitely is very disciplined. My middle child is 25. I don't even know the last time he missed a workout. I started both the boys, they're both boys, started them off lifting weights when they were 14. And they haven't stopped since. So 14, and then let's see, the younger one's 25, I think. So that's 11 years. And you could count probably on one hand the amount of days he's missed in 11 years. So I don't have to. When they were young, yeah, I had to make them run. Had some goals I wanted them to do. They were going to play sports. They're going to be active. They had no choice in the matter. And they both did great. They're both tough, way tougher than I was when I was a kid. And they both run marathons. Very proud of them. My daughter, super disciplined, not in the physical aspect, but in education and academics, and she's super smart. So I think it's easier to have rules for your kids around discipline when you're disciplined yourself. If you're trying to say, do as I say, not as I do, that's a rough one. You got to emulate the behavior you expect, is how I'm not like the best parent in the world. I don't have all the answers, but all I know is what's worked for me is I'm disciplined. I expect my kids to be disciplined, and it's a lot more effective than if I wasn't disciplined but expected them to be disciplined. I just don't think that works. So they just kind of live up to the example I've set, and I did push them towards, but not much anymore. They're good on their own. Very proud of them. They're better at me in anything. They're smarter. They're better humans. They're just they got a great human spirit about them. So I'm very proud of my kids. Um, oh, this is a good one. Brian looks like he's from Cottage Grove. Now is in Wisconsin, maybe. But he says, "Do you still carry a rock up the mountain, or have you evolved to a rogue weighted sandbag?" No, 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 no. Sandbag. It's a rock. You always got to have a rock. So my whole thing is that you don't need much. If you have nothing but a little incline and a rock, you got enough to work out. There's no excuses. So I had a 130-pound rock, and I'd have to carry it on my shoulder like this and kill my shoulder. Then I have to carry it here, and it'd be like my hands and the small muscles here and my forearms would give out. Then I have to put it up on this side, then back on this side, my shoulders get all bruised up. So that was 130 pounds. Somebody rolled that off the mountain, and now I can't find it. So then I'm pretty sure it was Jed Larkin, when he was with Under Armour, sent me a replacement rock for Christmas. So I at Christmas I showed up, and on my front doorstep was a big rock, and it was 70 pounds. So that's the rock I have now. I still have it. I have it hidden. So I'll pack it up the mountain, I'll pack it back down, then I'll hide it in the bushes. But it's 70 pounds. And even carrying, there's a mountain back home that I climb all the time, or I run mostly all the time. And it's 1,100 feet climb in 1.5 miles. And if you carry a 70-pound rock just like this or like this for 1.5 miles, you know you did something. I mean, so yeah, if you're looking to you don't have much money, you don't need much money. All you need is a rock and a little bit of an incline, and then you're good to go. So that's my that's the answer to that question. Do I still carry a rock up the mountain? Of course. I think that's all the questions or wait, maybe there's more. No. So I think we're good on the questions. One more time. Look at all those books behind me. That looks pretty sick, doesn't it? Order today, right now. You get it signed from aircollectibles.com/endure. I can see. Oh, I missed this one. Okay. I think we still got a few minutes. Okay, so this is a good one. So Kevin in Washington said, advice to get your spouse on the same page and create a disciplined household. That is a hard one, because do you know how many times I heard that I was being too hard on the boys? A lot. But the funny part is I probably was being too hard on them. So I guess she was right. But how we found that, I think it's good. It's like a good cop, bad cop thing. Like maybe the dad can be disciplined. Of course, moms are always better at being more loving and supportive. Dads could kind of be, lay down the law. That's kind of what worked for us. And I was on a podcast. I'm trying to think what it was. Oh, it's something about, women can raise beasts. It's like we were talking about when men used to go away for the war, they wouldn't go on deployments. They would go and just be gone until the war is over. They might be gone to the war for 5 to 7 years. Who knows? So during that time, women were running the household, and they raised beast at that time. So it definitely can happen with one. I think it works good to have a mix, to have, a dad pushing maybe, or maybe it's the other way around. But anyway, to have that good cop, bad cop working together, I think a good team is what makes a big difference in raising kids. It's hard for any parent on their own, not impossible. It's a challenge, but I think the only thing that I was thinking about when the men go on deployment, and back in the day, it could have been for 7 years or go to fight a war. If they're not around, I think a mom's great. They have a great, tactic when they can say, wait till your dad gets home. So if the dad's gone to war, kind of throws that one out the window. But if the moms can always say, wait till your dad gets home, I think that kind of gets the kids' attention a little bit. They don't want to deal with dad when he gets home. But Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I felt now looking back, I was wondering if I was too hard on the boys for sure. Um, I expected my whole thing with them was, I don't expect you to be the best. Just give your best. If I'm looking at you and you're giving your absolute best, and whatever you lose at whatever it is, or that's just the way it goes because that's life. We sometimes we win, sometimes we lose. That's okay as long as you gave that best effort. So that's my thoughts on parenting and spouse support. I think it takes a team basically. So if I had more questions, I could get to them. If you guys, let's see, maybe I got something in here about. Okay, here's this. So see this? We'll do a little story time. This chapter is called Chapter 9, Train Hard, Hunt Easy. And it says, Cam, can't you just do the 50 miler? I was on the cusp of my first ever 100-mile mountain run in 2009 when Tracy said this. I still couldn't believe I was only days away from the Bighorn 100 taking place in the rugged Bighorn Mountains of Wyoming with over 17,000 feet of elevation gain. So that means it goes up and down. But if you add up all the ups, that's 17,000 feet. But it's pretty much going up and down all the time. Very hard race. These 100 milers in the mountains are tough. So it says the Bighorn was one of the toughest 100-mile foot races in the United States. It'd be my first ultra over 50 miles. The previous year at the Bighorn 50, I finished third overall. Yeah, I got third in that race too. It's tough to win those things. I'll tell you what, there's some studs out there. It would also be my first race where I'd be required to run through the night. A full day of running followed by a full night of mountain running sounded intimidating among other things. My wife was having second thoughts and tried to persuade me to reconsider. You could do really well in a 50 miler, she said. You won't have to run at night, but that race will still drive your message home. And I've read people have kidney failure sometimes with those crazy long runs. So, as I said, she made some good points and she almost had me a couple of times, but I remained determined. So, I was committed to doing a 100-mile race against um, the well wishes of others, but I had that goal in my head. So, that was my first 100. And I tell you what, there's times during that race where I was wishing I would only signed up for the 50 miler because, as I say in 100-mile races, the first 50 is physical, the second 50 is mental. And it was a long, long night after that first 50 miles. I got this. I think this clip is actually on my YouTube webpage. You go to Cameron Haynes on YouTube, and I think if you type in Bighorn 100, you'll see Under Armour film that race, and you'll see the clips of it. And when I got up to mile 48, that's the turnaround. So it's basically an hour and back. You go up to this cabin outpost at the top of this ridge, and it was a bunch of snow there, pulse holing through the snow. It was about 11 or 12 at night. The race had started at 11 in the morning. So I'd been going for 12 hours. Yeah, that's what it was. It was 11 at night. So I'd been going for 12 hours and I didn't have a light because I thought I was going to get up there sooner. I was post holing through that and just feeling beat up and miserable. And I get to that 48-mile turnaround, and you'll see on the video, I had a pretty good, I'm a good actor. So I was acting like I was okay, but my feet were banged up because the shoes had been wet. Anytime your feet get wet, your skin gets soft, and that's where the blisters develop, and the your toes rub together and all this stuff. And so my feet were kind of banged up. So they put band-aids on, got me geared up, and I headed back out into the night and had 50 more miles or 52 more miles to go actually, because I was at 48. And it was a long grind. Made it down to the bottom of this drainage by first light. And I think I was about at mile 66. And then I had 16-mile grind up this drainage, pretty much all uphill for 16 miles after I'd already done 66 miles. And that would take me up to 82. And it took me hours to make it 16 miles. I mean, hours. And I was exhausted. So I got to 82, just looking terrible, beat up. I'd already been going for about 25 hours. My goal was 24 hours for the race. So I was already behind my goal and I still had 18 miles to go. But I made it. I had Tanner back there. He's my oldest son. Had him back there I think I thought it'd be a good experience. He could go back there and see me do this and hang out at the hotel. He didn't run it, but he ran the last 5 miles with me, and it was good to have my son there. I think he was about 14 at the time. But that was my first 100, and I felt every mile, every step. And looking back on it now, it was a turning point for me. And so luckily, that's kind of how life goes. Should I have done the 50? Probably. Could I have done better? Definitely. I could race 50 miles pretty fast back then. But I'd already done the 50 and I had a goal set up. And sometimes in life, you get to that fork in the road and you take the easy way, which I guess in this case, the easy way is a 50-mile race, which still isn't that easy. Or you take the hard way. And in this case, that was a 100-mile race, and that's super hard. And I oftentimes in life choose the hard way, the hard path. And that's what this is about. As you see the subtitle here, how to work hard, outlast, and keep hammering. So that's the key to it. That's what this book has, lessons like I just explained in here. And again, if you order off premiercollectibles.com/endure, you get a signed copy. I want to thank everybody who's tuned in and been part of this. This has been fun. I think we're about good to go. I don't know. Where's my moderator? What do I do?
Good.
I'm done?
Off. Yeah.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. I guess I have no boss. I can just quit. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Appreciate all support. If you've read the book, please tell me what you think of it. I love seeing the feedback. So thankful, so grateful. Thank you very much. And remember, we must endure.
Hey, this is John Acuff, New York Times best-selling author of 7 books and someone who's done a live signing. If you like the one you just watched, make sure you check out our YouTube channel. It's full of amazing authors having great conversations and signing books for viewers just like you. So make sure you subscribe, and thanks for watching today.